Hi, Jordan. How are you?
Good. How are you? So good to see you.
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Thank you so much for joining me today.
No problem.
Yes, yes. So, just to let you guys know, so this is Mykie Chats, which is a bi-monthly live IG live interview show thing where I just interview people who are community change makers as well as just doing inspirational things. And that's why Jordan is here. Just a little bit about Jordan. Jordan is the co-owner of Bell Gardens in Virginia, right?
That's correct. Yep.
Yes. You are really into what I really loved about you is the fact that you're really into local ecosystems. And even just in getting to know you through emailing and things, shout out to Jennifer, our last guest at Mykie Chats. Really linked us both. I'm pretty sure she's around there somewhere.
She's actually holding the camera.
Oh. Hi, Jennifer.
Hi, everybody. Hi, Mykie.
Yes, I just really loved with our Jennifer linking us up together. It was just really amazing to hear about your Bell's Gardens and like your philosophy about ecosystems and how humans are not supposed to be the leaders or just to fall back, but just to be a great participant and partner when it comes to everything, the earth, the animals, all of that. So I just wanted to thank you so much for doing this special, amazing Mykie Chats.
Yeah, no problem. No problem.
Yes. Okay, so the first thing I wanted to ask was just like introduce yourself. Let the audience know like who you are and what you do and all of that stuff.
Yeah, so my name's Jordan. My wife and I live out here in Round Hill with our three kids, and this is our little plot of land we've got out here. And for a long time, I'm a practicing landscape architect, and so I've always kind of worked with nature. I've always kind of really worked to kind of bring people and nature together. And this project here has really just been an extension of trying to find a way for people and nature to work hand in glove and to really have a reciprocal partnership is the way I like to think of it. So what we're growing out here is we're growing a lot of stuff for Jen. And I think I mentioned in the emails to you, one of our main goals is to show that a really healthy native ecosystem has a lot of benefits to people, more than just creating habitat, but that there's edible and medicinal plants that grow when we have a really healthy ecosystem here.
Yes, yes. I truly understood that when you said that. And it's like that's really amazing. Yeah. So how did this came to be, having your plot of land and doing all of these things?
Yeah, so we were urbanites for a while, but I grew up out here in Western Mass. I've always kind of, even though I spent many years in the city, I kind of always still had a little country boy left in me. And when I was younger, I was in 4-H, which is kind of future farmers and agriculturalists, and I ended up winning a national competition for wildlife habitat management when I was like 14, which is pretty random. But that experience had always stuck with me. And just this idea that, we can manage the land, not so much farm it, not so much, force it into something, but really work with what's there to create habitat and to really get it to work for us by working with what you've got and what the ecosystem wants to be. It's these things where I think if you listen, it will speak to you. And if you observe, if you become an observer, you can understand how to work with things instead of kind of imposing your vision on something.
It's so funny. As you were talking about that, the first thing I thought about is like the abundance and like scarcity mindset of things. Like when it comes to, and this is gonna lead to this question because I loved your email actually. Where, instead of trying to control something, right? So that's like the scarcity mindset of like your sense of control, because you feel like if you just didn't listen and if you just didn't really listen to nature, right, and the building of your habitat, you don't think you'll be able to be sustained by it. You know what I mean? But you are a part of the habitat. You're a part of the ecosystem. And I hope humans understand that, just not on, just not on a spiritual thing, because you hear about the abundance mindset and scarcity mindset and that mental capacity, but just what you're doing, right, with the ecosystem, and understanding that the ecosystem is going to building it, not building it, but basically just maintaining it, like you said, will take care of us because we're a part of it, right? So
it's an extension of us.
Yes, exactly. So I really love that. But I wanted to segue what I really found interesting when it came to getting to know you is the fact that you don't really like using the word farming. You rather say gardens and things of that nature. So would you like to elaborate on that choice?
Yeah. So I think... and this is, let me preface it just by saying I have nothing but deep respect for the farmers out there, because I know it's tough work, and I know a lot of good people who farm. I think from my personal philosophy, though, farming tends to be a very extractive relationship. You are cultivating the land with a very intensive purpose, usually a profit motive, and all these things are fine, I think, under certain contexts, but they've grown to a scale that it's not sustainable anymore, and we've really lost that ability to work with the land. And so, to your point, I call this a garden because there's a quote I think I referenced to you. One of my favorite quotes is a Terrence McKenna quote, and he said, as the intelligent beings on this earth, as kind of nature rendered self-conscious, our place in the world is to be the gardeners, to be the tenders, to use our intelligence to kind of elevate nature and really help it reach its greatest potential. And I think once we do that, it helps us reach our greatest potential. Yes.
I love it. It's that community mindset too.
Yes,
you know
absolutely.
what I mean? Absolutely. Yeah, which is definitely necessary. It's so funny you talked about farming and the certain practices as being unsustainable now, because actually I'm in school. I'm studying to get my master's of science in nutrition and herbal medicine at actually the Maryland University of Integral Health. And I literally had to do an essay about the connection of like unhealthy eating and diets and stuff, and like farming, and actually like how unsustainable it is and how it would affect our earth. So it's just so funny that you're bringing. I just wish we had this conversation yesterday so I could have been able to take some from it for my essay that was due last night, but it's all right.
Just give me a call next time. I'll give you all.
Yes, but it is all good. Hopefully I aced it. So, but what I would like to ask about is just your specific now is Bell's Gardens and things, and what do you do there? Like what's going on right now currently?
Sure. So what we've got here is so when we moved in, this was an abandoned dairy farm, basically. So the land had been totally overgrazed. It was really in pretty bad shape. And what we've done is we've started to kind of restore the meadow ecosystem here. And when you build a meadow ecosystem, there's a lot of really great medicinal plants and edible plants that are part of our natural East Coast Virginia meadows and forest ecosystem. So what I'm doing here now is I've teamed up with Jen, Oh So Good Organics, and, she's making some great, candles and lotions and salves and balms that are based on these plants that grow around here. And so kind of part of the vision for this is not only to help educate and help kind of be a thought leader in this space, but also to provide the raw materials locally for people like Jen and other folks to be able to obtain this stuff in a way that is as close to kind of naturally cultivated, or things are grown in a way that they would grow in a much more wild setting. And so that's what we're doing here. So if you were to drive by, it doesn't look like your typical farm. It looks like sometimes it looks like an overgrown field, and that's okay. We're trying to kind of change people's mindsets a little bit about what does a productive landscape look like. It doesn't always have to be rows of things. And I'm sure you've learned a lot about this in school, but there's permaculture, there's regenerative agriculture, there's a lot of these buzzwords out there today. And these are all concepts that I learned about kind of once I was already in this space. And so I think while there can be, like anything, ideological purity, I think a far more productive conversation is looking at all of these kind of schools of thoughts and picking and choosing and kind of learning from all of them. And so I wouldn't describe us as purely permaculture. I wouldn't describe us as purely regenerative, but I would say that we kind of take the best of these ideas that work, and our goal is just to grow really good stuff in a way that works with what wants to be here naturally, and provide for local businesses like Jen, and provide a great education space as well.
That's amazing. That is amazing. So I know today is your field burning day. So can you talk about that? What is field burning and the process that you're currently going through right now to do it?
So let's take a look over here real quick. I think there's a good place for us to kind of start. So over here is where we started to burn yesterday. I don't know how much you can see. Here, let me take that real quick. Good. Oh, good. So I'm going to get down low here. So So what we've done is we use fire as kind of a natural land management tool where every year, the field grows up and you end up with grass like this that's, dry and thick. This is all our thatch, right? So that's just all the material from last year. And in order to clear new space to overseed with the things that we do want to grow, what we do is we set what's called a prescribed burn. And it's a real low intensity fire that basically clears out all that dead material, opens up fresh ground for our seed to hit the ground and start to germinate. And this is the time of year you do it. This is what we're going to be doing this afternoon.
Okay, great. So is this something that you do once a year?
Just once a year. Yep. It's really, the springtime's kind of the best time to do it. And just opens up the ground, lets the seed get down to it. And it's, we're not using machinery. We're not using a bunch of fossil fuel. I think it is worth addressing, we're burning things, right? So there is carbon going up into the atmosphere, but at the same time, the burning really jumpstarts a lot of the ecological processes that throughout the rest of the year are sequestering carbon. All the plants that are growing, all the nitrogen that's being pulled out of the air by those plants. I mean, all of these cycles are intertwined. So yes, while there is kind of a release of carbon initially, I think at the end of it, it's probably a net neutral, and in the process, we don't have to support fossil fuels and everything that comes with that.
With field burning, is this something that is like an older practice? I feel like I've heard maybe some, cultures using this as a farming technique. I'm not sure. Can you?
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. So, pre-Columbian times, the native people here, that was their main tool for managing the landscape, was actually fire. And the Native Americans were very, very adept at managing incredibly complex ecosystems by use of fire cycles. So we're maintaining a field, so we're burning yearly. But in other situations, you might burn once every 3 years, once every 5 years.
Right.
You can create really like open forests if you burn every couple years. So just the mature trees survive, but it's all wide open underneath. So there's all kinds of ways that when fire is applied intelligently, you can really sculpt the landscape and sculpt the ecosystem through a natural process, and then the plants just do the rest for you.
This is so cool. I'm just like getting my life like, nature. Sorry.
Yeah.
So I just wanted, this is fun stuff for me, but I just wanted to know, what are the kind of plants and herbs and medicinals that you grow on Bell's Gardens? I would love to know.
Sure. So actually, I'll walk with me here. I'll go show so I've got a couple of our seed mixes laid out here. Some of the stuff that we're growing this year, we've got peppermint and lemon balm, which Jen uses a lot of. We use anise hyssop, which is a part of it's an agastache, so it's a relative of the mint. It's really, really great plant. We've got a bunch of burdock, which burdock has all kinds of incredible value. Yes. And we've got echinacea, yarrow, which are both wonderful meadow flowers, beautiful to look at, but also great medicinal properties. Monarda, which I know it has, I'm actually not super familiar with all its medicinal properties. I love it because I make tea out of it. It's how you get your Earl Grey tea. So there's some really fun stuff you can do with that. And then some of the other seeds that we have in the mix are for the pollinators. They're not for humans directly, but they help build what we're doing here. And so, we've got 3 or 4 species of milkweed. We've got broom sedge and little blue stem, which are keystone species of our native meadows. And so there's a balance there again, right? It's like every seed I buy is not something that I'm going to harvest and consume myself. But it's part of building kind of this larger matrix that helps everything do better in the long run. I
think that is amazing just by talking to you right now when it comes to, because just talking to you, I always love calling, I always love saying community, right? So community. And like majority of the people, when you hear about community, you kind of stop at one species, which is the humans, right? And some people it's even more specific between like races or like sexualities, genders, all types of things, right? But just talking to you, like just hearing that you get seeds and you cultivate seeds that would be okay for human consumption, right? That you can be able to enjoy, that Jen can be able to enjoy, but you also cultivate seeds and things for other species that's not necessarily for you, because you know how the ecosystems comes back, the ecosystem, how it works, that, once you, I feel like you're really helping me expand my idea of community to be open and broader to not just humans, but animals and pollinators, insects, plants, and just all that thing. So I really appreciate that because I'm learning so much right now when it comes to that. When you help them, they help us, and it's just like a
Can I share a quick anecdote with you? One of my favorite things that has happened out here. So the first year we moved out here, like I said, everything was in really bad shape. And we had a lot of mosquitoes, okay, which I'm sure everybody around DC can relate to, right? And I told my wife, I said, I promise you, if we let the wetlands just grow, just don't touch them for a year, watch what happens. And the next year, what happened is by letting the bulrushes and the sedges all grow back, by letting them get mature, we created the habitat for dragonflies. Well, dragonflies' main source of food is mosquitoes. Oh. We haven't seen a mosquito in 2 years now. But we see absolute swarms of dragonflies now. And the dragonflies, they're big predator insects, and they are just absolutely cleaning out the mosquitoes every year. And so it's one of these things that as soon as you start to think beyond your own species, right? And you start to kind of let these other creatures reach their full potential, there's a reciprocal benefit for yourself. All of a sudden, I'm not dealing with mosquitoes anymore. And it's so much more pleasant to be outside in the middle of July.
Wow. Yes. I love that. Like, now I'm just wondering, because, okay, I don't like gnats. And I'm just wondering, like, if we just let some things grow, you know?
Yeah. Sure.
But it's a really great way to think about it. And I really appreciate this. I really, really do. So I just wanted to talk to you about your vision and just to reiterate, like, your vision for the work that you do. So would you like to share that? Because the one thing I saw was to demonstrate the productive capacity of a restored native ecosystem with edible and medicinal plants, to be a resource for the community through education and a source of materials for locally made products, and to advance the aesthetics of landscape design by showing people the beauty of native and wild landscapes. Like, why were those the goals for you into your vision?
That's a great question. So I think, the first one is we kind of touched on, right? It's this idea that, a healthy ecosystem benefits all of us in all different kinds of ways. Some directly, some indirectly. In terms of building community, you see how I work with Jen, and we're starting to do a little bit of outreach here locally to try to. COVID admittedly has kind of gotten in the way of that a little bit, but we're starting to kind of, explore some education programs and how we can bring in people who are unfamiliar with this type of work or these types of things to join in with us and learn more here. And then thirdly, it goes back to kind of my formal training, which is as a landscape architect. And, throughout my career, I've had a lot of difficult conversations with clients, frankly, to be perfectly honest with you, usually very wealthy people who say, I want to spend a lot of money making this beautiful. And I say, okay, beauty is subjective. Is that hedges of roses, or can we make this into something that changes through the season and it is rich and diverse and mimics what should be here anyways? And those are difficult conversations sometimes, because not everybody is ready to look outside and see what in their mind might be, an overgrown field. And so I think part of beauty is understanding, and the more you understand something, the more you can kind of see the inherent beauty in it. And so, the education, the aesthetics, changing people's mind about, what a front yard should look like, what a field should look like, what a garden should look like. Those are all, they're deep cultural conversations. I mean, the American lawn is an institution, right?
Right. Yes, it is. And people are trying to combat that and like wanting to grow more. I just learned about like clover lawns and like all types of different things that people are doing. And I think it's very interesting,
Yeah. So right. So there has to be a place where people can see some of these ideas in action, because it's one thing to read about them in a book. It's one thing to see pictures of them online.
Yes.
But if you can go and be in a space that says, hey, here are these ideas in practice. Here's what it feels like to be in a space like this. I think you can really bring people into it. Something clicks for them, right? There's something that says, hey, I get it now. I get why this is important. I get why this is beautiful. Oh, this does feel really nice, and it smells nice, and it's it's so vibrant and active when you see the beneficial insects and stuff. And so that's a long process of changing cultural attitudes, but you got to start somewhere.
It does. And you're doing it, especially with thinking about outreach and things of that nature. So I just wanted to ask, like, what are your plans when it comes to that? Is that workshops? Is that people can volunteer in the gardens? Can you elaborate?
Yeah. So to be perfectly honest, we're still kind of building it out. We're still kind of figuring out exactly what that looks like. Because we have kids, I think it's probably going to actually start with kids. I think we're going to try to get some like after school groups maybe coming over. I would love to work more with adults too, and find folks in the community who are interested. But I mean, I think part of it's just kind of building our network. I love to talk about this type of stuff. So if I can get an audience out here, I'll show people stuff all day. But
Yeah.
I think we're still in the process of kind of figuring that out. And if anybody watching has any suggestions, we're more than open to it. But
this is perfect.
Yeah, but to give Jen great credit, I mean, she's such an incredible networker. I think we're gonna, our conversations are gonna be robust, and we're gonna have a good conversation about how to, take some of the networks she knows and maybe bring people out here through that avenue.
Yeah, that's perfect. I just and yes, I'm willing and able to share what I can share when you guys get everything rolling. But to help with your networking and things, I just wanted to ask you, where can people contact you? What are your socials and things? So if they wanted to contact you to help you in the work that you do.
Yeah, Bell Gardens VA Instagram is absolutely a great way to find us, and or my personal Instagram handle, Jordan CC. Those are probably the two easiest ways to get a hold of me these days, and I love collaboration. So spread the word. I love talking about this with like-minded folks, and can't wait to see what it brings. I'm a big believer. You put that positive energy out in the world, and it'll come back to you.
Exactly. I believe that as well. Before we close up, I just wanted to ask you if there's anything else that you would like to hear, tell the audience and people about the work you do, about your philosophies of life, anything, Let's end it on a great note.
Yeah, no, I think the big thought to end with here is just, it's important to remember that I think too often we see ourselves and humanity as kind of separate from nature. It's us versus nature, or us and nature. And it's a continuum. It's really a continuum. And it's, the more you learn about the plants and the ecosystem and the animals that surround you, the more you see them as members of your community. That tree you pass by every day in front of your apartment, learn what kind of tree it is, and think about it. And it's just, once you kind of start to view the world through that lens, it's really awesome.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah. So are you guys starting the field burn right now?
Yeah, so we're basically ready to go. We'll start burning here in just a minute. I'm going to give the phone back to Jen, and we'll I'm going to get her upwind of the smoke here first. So she's going to...
All right, cool.
All right, DK, we're going to have flames coming towards you in a minute. Oh, great. So everything's going to be going this way. So what we do is we get under here, we just kind of fluff up the thatch a little bit, and you'll be shocked at how fast this starts to go.
Oh, wow.
Watch. Not this time of year.
Wow. You definitely have to make sure the wind is going where you need it to go.
Yeah, and we do a little other prep work to kind of get things started. Basically, the way the fire moves is the wind will help guide it. And where we kind of have the mode pass, that's the natural break. So the fire won't burn where there's not fuel. And it looks like a big fire, but it's pretty low intensity. And so it's really just clearing out the dead material. And as soon as it hits the mode areas, it stops itself.
I love it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it really went quickly.
Yeah, it moves pretty quick. I mean, if we're doing this right and conditions are good, it'll move about as fast as you can walk. Hey, get upwind.
Wow. Wow. Just to hear it crackle is very peaceful. The wind.
It is. So actually, Jen, if you want to show me here. So you can see, I mean, it really just hugs the line and it self-extinguishes as it gets to the end of things. So really the main thing our main job out here is just to make sure that the embers don't run off too far. And besides that, it's pretty much just kind of watching it and just making sure it doesn't get too out of control.
Nice. Yeah.
So yeah, we've still got about 7 or 8 more of these little areas to do, and then as we do them, there's the broomstick, flaring up. And then as we do each area, what we'll do is we'll come back tomorrow and we clear out some of the invasive species, which again just kind of helps open up the earth a little bit. We don't have too many invasives, but we've got a couple that we try to get out of the way just because they're noxious or they really take over if we don't. But it's a small amount of manual labor, and then that opens up the ground, and then we'll seed right after that.
Oh, wow. So when do you start seeding?
Well, we started a little bit today. I had Jen out here with the bucket, and we were mixing
so you can start immediately.
Yeah, we can do it pretty much the day after. I usually let it all cool off for 24 hours, and then I'll seed after that, just so there's
Wow, nature is so cool.
And so this little bit will wrap up here in just a second, and then we'll move on to the next one.
Maybe you guys can wrap up after this is done. Here.
It's really nice.
Crazy how it smells insane.
Yeah. Yeah, it just stops itself. Hi, Mykie.
Hi, Jennifer. How are you?
Good. How are you?
This is really great. Thank you so much for linking me and Jordan up and to have this special interview. This is really, really dope to see this process.
Thank you for having us. I couldn't think of another person to do this with.
Yeah.
Thank you, love. Well, I'll let you get back to Jordan and let Jordan know how you want to go about things.
But this has been really, really dope. This is really great. Thank you so much for inviting me.
No problem. I'm so glad we got to do this. I love talking about this stuff and sharing these thoughts. So, anytime you want to collaborate, you want to talk more, please don't hesitate.
Yes, will do. And thank you guys for everyone for joining. Like I say, please follow Jordan and his work at Bell's Gardens VA on Instagram. And he's willing to open to talk to everybody who is interested about the work that he does at Bell's Gardens and landscape design and eco. Hope you enjoy this amazing life. And thank you so much again, Jordan, for coming here and being my guest.
Thank you so much. Have a great evening.
Yes, you too. Bye, Jen. Bye, everyone.